Big thanks to Jason at eWheels for allowing me to test the ET Max demo. This is the Begode ET Max, and I'm going to tell you what I think of it. All right, guys, here it is, the Begode ET Max, the wheel that I have been loaned so generously from Jason at eWheels. Been demoing this wheel for, this is probably going on my third week. Had a lot of fun testing this wheel out. One thing that I've neglected, there's a couple things I've neglected to talk about on my various rides, my range test, my speed test, my swamp test, my night ride, various rides. I haven't shown the charger that comes with the ET Max. It's a beast, man. It is heavy. It feels very, I don't know, it's a big ass charger. It's a 5 amp charger. I've only charged with it once, to be honest with you, because all the other times I charge with my Roger Charger SC, but I did want to charge with the stock charger just to get an experience with it. It charges fine, just fine. Obviously not as quick. It took probably about double the time that it would take me with the Roger Charger to fully charge this wheel. Another thing that I haven't talked about that much is, I talked about the suspension on the wheel, but I did not talk about how you can adjust it. These are your rebound and dampening knobs up here, but also here is a little air valve that you only put between 50 and 100 PSI in it. And I believe this also helps with the dampening, if I'm not mistaken. I think I have 90 pounds in that right now of PSI. And also to adjust the preload on this wheel, this forward of my new Craftsman Workmate, or Black & Decker Workmate. Hopefully you can see that. Right here is the ring that you adjust to adjust the preload on the suspension. Now this suspension, Ronan up in New York City, he installed a 900-pound spring. This came with a 1,300-pound spring, and he didn't really like the way it felt. He put a 900-pound spring in here from an Extreme, which softened it up. And again, you adjust the preload by just rotating this nut here back and forth. I actually backed it out a little bit to show a few less threads because it wasn't feeling great for me, but it feels okay. So as you go around the wheel, some of the other features on it, you see the, scratch that. You'll notice that this has a high impact plastic kickstand, which is new. I believe all the other Begode wheels, it's always metal. This is actually a type of plastic. The mudguard, it's a metal mudguard, so that should be durable, although it could be a little bendy depending on if it would take an impact or not. And there goes Elsa. She's not interested in my ET Max review. The pedals on this, I left them where they are, but if I zoom in here, there's multiple sets of holes that you can raise or lower the pedals. It looks like right now they are on the lowest setting, and I left it there because for me, lower means more stable, higher means a little bit more agile, but these are on the lowest setting, but I believe you have 3 different heights that you can adjust the pedals. You see the pads on the ET Max. I have them in a spot where they are okay for me. I'm just, with the way my legs are and the way my knees bend, pads in their conventional position just do not work for me, so I have these further than most people would. General feedback on these pads are they're okay. They're probably better than many Begode stock pads that were included, but most people will wind up putting their own pads on here, and there's all kinds of surface to do so. Pretty easy to put whatever custom pads you want on the wheel. Okay, up front, or up top I should say, this cover is translucent. It might be hard to see here, but it is actually translucent that you can kind of see the internals. The brake light glows through here. Kind of a smoked finish. You can kind of see the cables and cords inside there. Again, it's gonna be hard to see in the camera, but just trust me. The trolley handle, it's a weird design for me. It's metal, but you just kind of stick your fingers in there and pull it up, and that's your trolley handle. It's a friction fit. There's like no lockout at the top. I mean, it does its job. You can control it, but it's a kind of a weird setup in my opinion. Apologize for that. I got a phone call from Gladys. You guys remember Gladys, right? Yeah, her and I still talk, catching up on life in the island. So anyways, all right, back to the ET Max. I did talk about how I was pleasantly surprised with the headlight. I've heard some people say that they didn't think the headlight performed well. I thought it did in my experience riding at night. I thought it was sufficient for sure, better than I expected. Let's put that wonky trolley handle down. In here, the charge port, the lift switch is here, the power button is here. It's a single charge port, which I thought was kind of weird. I've been charging it on the Roger charger at 9 amps and it's been fine. I think I remember reading that the max charge on this rate is 20 amps. I think, don't quote me on that, but I believe that's what I've heard. But again, it's weird that it's only one charge port. But if it can do 20 amps on that one charge port, I guess that makes up for it a little bit. The tire, a lot of people have talked about the tire, the street tire. It's a nice profile. It's definitely an improvement over from what I've heard from the California riders. The tire that was on the GT Pro, the Extreme Bull GT Pro that was out there, people were not a fan of that tire, whereas people are a fan of this tire. They like this tire. Tire feels good to me. This wheel, despite it being as heavy as it is, roughly 110 pounds, it is maneuverable. Once you get moving, it doesn't feel that heavy. So that's a good thing, right? The pedals, the stock Bugatti pedals, I had no complaints about them. Grippy enough when I was in the swamp. I never felt like I was going to come off of them. Comfortable enough when I did my range test where I got, 53 miles. Had surprisingly little problems with foot comfort on these pedals. So the pedals were comfort for a long ride for me. All right, so now we get to the point of the video where I answer the question I've gotten a million times since I started the review process of this wheel is, Duff, how does the wheel compare? How does the wheel compare? Most often people ask, how does it compare to the Lynx, which I also demoed via eWheels. Demoed the Veteran Lynx. It is a much different wheel than the Lynx. If your primary goal is to go fast on hard surfaces while having a wheel that is maneuverable, and that is your primary concern, the ET Max is going to be probably more powerful and have a slightly higher top end than a Veteran Lynx, if that is your main concern. If your concern is having a more well-rounded wheel, a wheel that is approximately 20 pounds lighter, which is significant, a wheel that has a clearly superior suspension. The Fast A suspension in the Lynx with progressive springs is definitely better than what they have here in the ET Max, even though this is the custom Begode suspension, right? Or the shock. This was a specially designed shock. And this wheel has, I think, 130 millimeters of travel, has tremendous travel in the suspension. But from my experience riding it, it was okay. It wasn't terrible, but it definitely wasn't a highlight of the wheel either. The suspension is okay, but it does not impress me. Now the good news is, the one good thing about the suspension setup in this wheel, and most Begode suspension wheels, is you can change it. If you don't like the way it feels, you can put a different shock in here. You could potentially get different linkage for it as well to change the way that it feels. With the Veteran suspension systems, you don't have that ability to configure it and change it dramatically like you can with Begode wheels. So if you want more options with your suspension, the ET Max is going to give you more option. Range. When I did my range test, I wasn't all that happy with how the range worked out because I wound up running on beeps the last 3 miles of range. In the past, I talked about this in the range test, in the past people have said, oh, the reason you get less range on these higher voltage wheels is because you go faster on them, so you get less range. And that is a valid statement, that speed knocks down range. But in this situation, I was riding this about the same speed as all my other wheels. When I did the V13 range test, when I did the Veteran Sherman S range test, when I did the Patton range test, and the Veteran Lynx range test, which was 30-ish. 30s for the majority of the ride until I started having issues going that fast because of battery level. And doing that on the ET Max, even though it has a 3,000 watt-hour battery, it got less range than expected. It got less range than the Veteran Lynx. Although the Veteran Lynx does have the long range mode where it allows you to go deeper into the cells, but Go does not allow you to do that, because my Lynx got, I believe, 56 miles when I did my range test on the Lynx, even though that's a 2,700 watt-hour battery versus a 3,000 watt-hour battery. So yeah, this is not going to be a mega range wheel. The good news is there's rumors that they're going to be releasing a version of this wheel that has a 4,400 watt-hour battery pack. God knows what it'll weigh, but yeah, that is supposedly going to be an option, a version of this with a much bigger battery. But it's so heavy already, I don't know. I mean, it's going to become like a baby Master Pro. It's just, I don't really need a wheel that is that heavy. This is plenty heavy enough for me. I don't need a wheel that is more heavy. What else haven't I talked about as far as comparisons go? I mean, those are the two biggest comparisons, or those are the two wheels that are going to get compared the most. One thing I wanted to quick mention that I forgot to mention during this conclusion video was the visuals. The ET Max is clearly a good-looking wheel, probably the best-looking wheel that Begode has ever made. I think I did mention it briefly, but some people that's more important than others. For me, I'm more concerned with how a wheel feels and performs, not so much its looks, but the ET Max is clearly a good-looking wheel. The ET Max versus the Veteran Lynx. I guess you could compare it to the Commander GT Pro as well, but in the end, that's going to be very similar. I believe that the GT Pro, when it is released in production, it's going to have the same motor. Like right now, the GT Pro has a different motor in it than the ET Max. They're going to have the same motor. They're gonna basically the difference is going to be primarily visual, I think, and the mid-mount suspension actually in the Commander GT Pro, which I've never ridden the Extreme Bull mid-mount suspension wheels, none of them. I've never rode a Commander Mini or a Commander GT or GT Pro, so I'm not sure how it feels, but I am assuming that it probably would appeal to me more than this solution because it's a hydraulic suspension, center mounted, similar to the Veteran wheels. As far as QC on this wheel definitely, I would say that this is the best built Begode wheel as far as quality goes that I have personally experienced. When this wheel was dumped by Jason, I got to get a better look at the way it's designed, the way it's designed to be kind of crash resistant. These metal supports here, they can, like if you do have an accident, they get bent up, you can actually just remove these supports, replace them, and get the wheel back to pristine condition much easier than I imagined at first. It's actually pretty cool the way that this is laid out. That you can take all these exterior frame pieces and after removing a few bolts, swap them out easily. So that's cool. Kickstand works fine. Good kickstand, wide, wheel feels stable. We're definitely gonna have to edit some stuff out of this. The display on this wheel, big numbers, easy-ish to see. The display on the Sherman, the LCD on the Sherman is actually easier to see in bright sunlight. This is kind of reflective. If you're in sunlight, there's a good chance you won't be able to read the numbers, but it gets the job done. But it's okay. I mean, it's similar to the display that's on most of their wheels nowadays. As Marty would do, clap. All right, so that's gonna wrap up my thoughts on the ET Max. Now, well, I guess there's one more thing I should say. Like people are gonna say, well, Duff, because I was talking about buying an ET Max. I was talking about if my income tax situation worked out favorably, which it did, that I would potentially buy an ET Max. And I can tell you after testing this, I probably am not going to buy an ET Max, but the reason isn't because there's anything wrong with this wheel. The reason is since I made that statement, I don't know, a month and a half ago, things have transpired where I now have a Inmotion V13 here as well, which to me is a similar wheel. It's similar, it's tall, it's heavy, it gets similar range. It can do 50 miles an hour all day. It's not as fast as the ET Max, but it can go fast and plenty fast for me. And it reminds me in a lot of ways physically of the ET Max. So I don't I don't really see the advantage of me getting ET Max because I don't plan to go 60 miles an hour. I'm not going to do that. So I don't need a wheel that does that. So I probably won't be buying. If the 4,400 watt hour version does come out, maybe I would think about it. But again, I think the specs are, it's going to be so heavy, man, heavy. I don't know that it'll be worth it to me or not. So we'll see. But as far as Begode wheels go, that I've demoed, and I've demoed a lot of them, I would say that this is the best Begode wheel that I ever tested. So there's that. It's a good wheel. All right, so that's gonna wrap up my ET Max testing experience. Again, a big thanks to Jason at eWheels for allowing me to demo this wheel. I'm always happy to do that, and hopefully I'll get to demo more wheels in the future. If you found this video interesting, or the video series in general interesting, there's a total of, I don't know, what I do, 5, 6 videos, something like that. If you found this particular video interesting, please think about giving it a big thumbs up. If this is your first time visiting the channel, please consider subscribing. And if you're gonna subscribe, you hit the notify bell that's over there somewhere. Big thanks to my channel members. Last time I checked, I just picked up another channel member. That will put me up to 24 channel members. Yes, I did not misspeak, 24 channel members. I appreciate your support greatly. Feel free to leave your comments, suggestions, ideas, and thoughts below. What do you think about the ET Max? Based on what I see out there in social media, it seems like there's a lot more Lynxes being sold than ET Maxes. But this is a good wheel. This is a good wheel. It really is. It's a good wheel. But I think it's more narrow as far as what it's good at, as opposed to the Lynx, which I think is broader in its appeal, more all around appeal, I would say. So anyways, guys, what is today? Today's Wednesday. I hope you have a great rest of your week. I will be shipping this wheel out probably within the next couple days. And that's all I have for now. Thanks for watching the series, and until next time, Duckman out.